So how do you guys reconcile when Mr. Keshe says that 99% of all illnesses are psychosomatic?
Well, maybe Mr. Keshe would like to answer that.
We never said 99%.
98?
Around about 70%, 75%, yes. We are proving now even Corona could have something to do with that too. To what extent, we do not know, but we are looking at it. That how come some people don't get it and some people get it? And how does it happen? The way it happens is something which needs to be looked at. Why some of us are more vulnerable to corona. What we see is so frightening with corona that we have to leave every angle open. There is not much option because most of the 75% of the disease we get, especially cancers, are psychosomatic. Going about the pollution which Rick was talking about, we looked at cleaning up in a mass, in a what we call environmental totality, and we found out that it creates more diseases. So the new systems which are looked at is to be manageable small units, but more of them in a very direct and indirect way. They're looking at possibilities of new systems even for the exhaust cars, but as we know, once we finish with the enhancement unit, we turn our attention into flight system and into what we call the final version of MAGRA. And I'm sure when we show those, you'll find out electric cars will become like a rapid ball games. But what we're trying to do, not to get us stuck with what we call the electrical motors, we jump over the present electric motors. Most probably. Once we finish with the Iran universities, I was in discussion with Iranians today, the strength and its length is that we will launch cars which do not need electric motors and no batteries. And if I get my way, that'll be very rapidly in the coming months. So even Tesla will become useless. There's no use creating electric cars where we already know about lift and motion. And as I said, we introduced from last week, as you've seen with the new systems, new structures that will change totally dependence on a lot of things. The enhancement unit should be we are hoping to show it, as we said, on the 2nd. And with it comes a massive new technology. Massive new technology, which we're hoping to be completed by the by the Iranian universities in the coming months. So we are leapfrogging electric motors into what we call sequential, which means the system in operation of itself creates everything with it, and with the new flight systems. So air pollution will last as long as we carry on with the vehicles, but if you remember when car detectors, the alarm detectors or whatever for the cars came in early 80s, very quickly built up and became part of the structure of the work. Now we see the same thing with this new system. Electric motors, electric cars is just a waste of time. And we're going to leapfrog it. So air pollution will come only from industry, and most of the air pollution of now is decentralized from the cities to centralized into the what we call greenlands. There's a lot of lies about it. They're burning the fuels in power stations and supplying the electric points around the cities that expect people to charge their cars up. Now we don't see it coming out the back of the car, we see it coming out at huge power stations. If you give me, I have to go out soon, I'll come back in, I have to go on the emergency call.
Hello, Mr. Keshe. Could you give us some words going forward into this week, please?
What do you mean? Can you explain?
One of the nice things about this meeting is that everybody's coming together to, put together a plan for the coming week to deal with this.
The situation with us is very peculiar at the moment, extremely peculiar, because the technology as a process to cure corona has been proven to be correct 100% by the hospital, by the most leading hospital in Iran. And this hospital has the right to sign the medical order, which means can be practiced in all the hospitals in Iran. The second in command in the hospital and the university is in cahoot with the man in the ministry who has to sign the clinical trials of it. The hospital says yes, it can be applied. Then the second man has to sign a clinical trial, which means now officially the whole country becomes a clinical trial. These two are in the same group that are working together. So now order has gone in. You issue the license or we change the university heads and we get what we want. And the next few days has to be shown which way. But there is another crisis in Iran. The president is going to get a vote of no confidence from this parliament in the next few days if they can push it, which means the country collapses into election. And the people who are sitting in the ministries can be removed immediately, which means within the next 2 weeks we can get the same thing if it happens that way. And in so many ways, that either way by Friday opens our hand. On the other hand, we have gone for making as we said, the the plasma time with ISSN number, which means we become a scientific journal. Everything has been done by the head of the Keshe Foundation. And if we get that certificate, we can internationally release the document ourselves. We don't need Iranian universities or journals to release it, and then it becomes publication. So now we are sitting in that place. We have done everything. And in that process, we take steps that in either way, Iranian government goes or not, as a published scientific paper, we can close a lot of things. So we are hoping by end of the week, don't forget now we are in the middle of the week in Iran because they work Saturday, Sunday, tomorrow is Tuesday. And we see what will happen. And at the same time, by Thursday, we open another massive knowledge, which has not been opened up to now. And that will put a lot of you in Kahoot. You will have a lot of ways to add and how we change, how we accumulate, how we manipulate different energies and in what purpose. So by Thursday, you're going to be hit with another piece of knowledge, which is more radical than what you've seen today or this week. And as I said, our biggest stumbling block for a long time, we knew was Caroline. She had to move because there was a lot of things attached to it. And now that move has taken place. We are releasing technologies. In the future, I'll explain all this very, very clearly. In that process, we will add a number of new units. Hopefully, if we can do it by Monday, by Sunday, we'll show the what we call the enhancement units. The team is working flat out on it. The parts hasn't arrived, part of it from China yet. Hopefully, it'll be here on time. And we'll see how we develop the next stage. The governments will react to the publication, or there is a decision by the Parliament of Iran next day or two how to handle the Keshe Foundation. And we are going back into Iran, not on the Corona basis, we are going in as a full technology. That is the space, energy, every aspect will be supported, which changes the position of the Keshe Foundation. And this part has already been agreed today, and we'll see how it will come. Keeping the independence of the foundation is important for me, and at the same time, we got to understand a lot of government officials' nightmare is emergence of such a technology, and we have a time, political time in Iran to do it if they go for the, what do you call, change of the president. It's a technical, tactical point. It's been discussed in detail today. And we have to see how it gets implemented. By the end of this week, we'll have a different structure. But again, we carry on doing our work, we don't stop. But overall, we expect the impeachment of the president coming up. They're pushing for it. The country is going to go uprising if they don't. There is a lot of political pressure. And the way we are involved with Corona, we literally, what has happened, 2 major hospitals in Iran have taken steps against the government line and handed over the hospital to Keshe Foundation. And our team are literally become resident in there. And this is to show the government that defying the bribery. And it's the 2 major hospitals and the university which actually signs the medical approval without the government. And we are working hard at it. So we'll be playing it very, very open, because now anybody, there are over 90 patients in one hospital of Corona, and we start teaching the nurses and the doctors directly on the floor with the Keshe Foundation team. The head of the hospital called the team in. He says, we hand over to you, because what had happened, we went in last Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 2 people were actually on a death row. They couldn't do anything with it. They died. So we add those, we take those 2 as our part. We should have been able to save. And in those 3 days, only 2 died. We moved out. The next 3 days, 8 people died. And the hospital management and the head of the hospital said, call in the Keshe Foundation, we hand over the hospital to them. So we are literally in the hospital. We are running the hospital on the Corona side with 90 patients. And the handover was this morning. And they have called the government. We are running this with a full understanding that we are not letting any more people die. And we have another hospital which already brought to 0 before. Now we are working if we can stop the deaths. And in the first 3 days, 8 of the patients in the emergency with the oxygen and everything were returned back to the normal ward, and 3 of them were discharged in the first 2 days after, and the rest are getting discharged this week. So it's a big step for us. And we're literally going hospital. We got one city now with the governor of the city has handed over to Keshe Foundation. And we become a skirmishes doesn't exist anymore. It's a direct work of the foundation inside. This is important because once this data comes out, the rest of the world will move with it. This is why it's significant. And I was teaching the doctors and nurses this afternoon for some time, warning them of the future, not just the present. And team of government officials and what you call leadership officials are working day and night to get this through. This president is absolutely the most corrupt president we ever knew in Iran. And he's quite possible if they impeach him, and then they cannot, by law in Iran, president cannot be imprisoned. The shape it is today, unless they change it. And it is very unfortunate, but it's important. The cups which you made, or you're making the 5 cups, is already getting tested in Iran. And we see within 3 to 5 minutes, direct changes on the patients. 1 drop, 1 life. And massive, massive propagandas have started by government, logos, pictures. If I can get hold of one picture, I can show you. This is what is. The next one of this will be shown. Is done by the people who work with us, but on the back they are ordered by the government to release this, that it creates a new condition for Keshe Foundation in Iran. There are a number of these released in the past few days, but as you can see, this is Keshe Foundation logo, and there are 8 what we call sections of Iran, 8 group what we call minorities or sections of Iran. They have united the 8 together, and on the banner of the Keshe Foundation, and this is going public. Not only on, it's literally going in the handout, what we call presentation, and this is the next one they have shown. So KFSSI is taking direct position and a position in so many ways. And these are videos of it. This started last week, and the next plan is for the whole world, all the races to hold hand, and they started propaganda, and we see it going further, and we have to see how we take it, because now this has to go through Iran. We don't see any other way. We've gone too ahead, too advanced, and we cannot back. We are, as you've seen, this is the hospital. We took over this hospital today with 90 beds like this. This is the reality. This is the second cycle. Second cycle seems to be much worse than the first cycle. This is taken by our team, and they are sitting on top of this. That's what we look forward for this week, and see where and how we will change.
Mr. Keshe, this is Yvonne. From what you've just said, you cannot give a clear time frame for when the report will be released.
We
so
have the
many
reports.
parameters.
There is no. Our time frame is the minute, if it is without ISO number, it just becomes a paper. If we get, when we get the ISSO number for the general times, what you call it, the plasma time, it becomes automatically a scientific paper. We are not going if and when. We already have it, and it's been done. And now we are not waiting for anybody to publish it. It's in our hand. We are waiting. They tell us 5 days maximum that we receive ISN number. We have to put down, become accredited journal to publish scientific papers.
So we're looking at basically 5 days.
That's what they tell us. We have paid all the fees. We've done everything. Everything has been done. So it's important for us, because after this, all the papers will be published under the same way. We have pushed for non-peer review articles, which is a different category, which usually have no problem to get, but allows you to publish as a scientific paper the publication. What our view is that we leave it peer review to be done by public online, which means people who test it see the result of it in a way where we do testimonials.
So by next Thursday's workshop,
We
could be.
we don't know, maybe by Tuesday. We paid for a higher speed track to be issued, and it is important for us to have it. There's a lot of things now has started, and we have to. Government officials are pushing, Iranian leadership is pushing, and what I heard today is possible the parliament will use the Keshe Foundation case for impeachment, because what has happened is that the president of the country has called another president to block Iranian technology outside Iran, which is itself a huge, what do you call, has a criminal term, but that's what the government has to do, because it's confirmed. Ayatollah Rouhani has called the president of another country, is recorded, announced, and the text of that communication is to block Keshe Foundation. And this is something he has to answer to his parliament very soon.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
No, we don't. The report is very simple. We have to get it through, because there is a lot of games played, and we are keeping out of it, but the governments are doing it. We receive continuously information how to do it. Initially, we didn't know how it was done, because we are not in this game. Since the office of the Ayatollah Khamenei has taken over our affairs, they know how to handle it. They are using us to get rid of the president, but at the same time give us the freedom to go worldwide with it.
We hear so much bad about the corona, Mr. Keshe, and you had indicated that one of the benefits of the corona is the peace dividend. Would you open that up at all?
It depends to look at our point of view. We are negotiating with major governments, Keshe Foundation, on a peace track. The message we put out last week, coming from the office of Ayatollah Khamenei, it was taken up by a number of nations. And this is why now we're going for this phase of it. Governments cannot go into military development. The only military development can be done is if there's a market for it, and to what extent people are prepared to work for that way to create peace. In America, you're running in nearly 50 million unemployed and 4 million contaminated, which 4 million, let's say 80%, 100% will die of corona side effects or itself. And the number of countries around the world are in the same position. At the moment, signing military contracts for all the nations, as far as we can see and we're consulting, has become zero option. Nationals will not allow armies to buy any more arms, because if there is any money, it has to be sorted out for corona. That's the way they're looking at it. We've seen a number of uprisings around the world. Most of it not getting reported, but Keshe Foundation has enough intelligence that we've seen they're literally people on the streets, they pack them up, whatever they do. And so we see the peace dividend in a way nobody's be able to have the funds to buy the arms. And nobody can get soldiers to go anywhere. So we will see implication of the long distance strategic tactical system to becoming more and more advanced. So smaller armies, more powerful systems, higher strike. But at the same time, Keshe Foundation has technologies that all this can be wiped out. The more they go high tech, the better it is for us to create peace conditions. So the peace dividend is there. In a way, no nation can get soldiers together to go in a war. Half of your soldiers will die of corona. Secondly, most of the armament factories are useless. And on the other hand, it is very much, very much, it will be in the hand of nationals and governments now.
Mr. Keshe, maybe you could expand a little bit more on how to bring a little peace to the emotion of the knowledge seekers. I think that's what I hear more, to broaden their spectrum of perhaps GANs or their creation to help bring their peace. That's not, I'm really hearing not a lot of peace from some of them and their confidence in their ability to be the last man standing in that perspective.
Gradually we build that up in the coming weeks. First of all, the corona we've seen, we have saved a lot of people. But in general, we have to, the way I see it and the way as I explained on Thursday, corona will become the second most important things in a very short time, maybe in 2 or 3 months. We think October, November, governments will shake because the harvest doesn't come in. The food security, food national security will play. And this is why we are heading so fast towards this part. And then the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers will go, will understand, and will take place in a rapid way. People are using the gases for medical because there is no other option. People will start using the gases as food very soon because there is no option. If you have never understood it, it's the easiest way I can explain it. The acceptance of the technology is on the basis of need. As there is no solution, the next step will become the food. We start promoting the food side very rapidly, and creation of different foods, creation of different, what we need will be taught this Thursday. Then, hopefully by the following week and a couple of weeks after that, we'll build into energy and heating. Which means, as we know, doesn't matter if there is oil or food in the market. Many people are living off handouts of government. Many people are hungry. Their jobs, the restaurants, the hotels, everything is shut down. So by October, November, we hit the energy supplies. And I'm gearing everything up as the need comes, people have it. And gradually feeding in the plasma technology as the need comes, and as there is nothing to replace, we take over. If we go very smooth and let the present situation run, by January of next year, most probably between 80 to 100% of the world population, indirectly or directly, will use this technology one way or another. In a way, we merge as need is. FDA can control the medicine, can be used. FDA cannot control the food. We have no control over the food, especially when it's natural. So we battled it through Corona. We've seen the success. And now we're setting up deliberately the agriculture, people can feed themselves, and then we build up into the energy, people can heat themselves. So by January, sometime before end of this year, maybe earlier, man becomes totally dependent on the new technology. People can't afford for heating. They're not earning the money. And for example, if you heard today, the British government has put a quarantine on people who come from holidays from Spain. And some of the travel companies just canceled everything till the 9th of August and see what happens after that, if they can muscle it in. So we'll see a lot of what we call leisure and entertainment will go to the wall. And we'll find out the next step for the foundation is to bring in new dimensions in entertainment and in keeping people busy, which we have a lot of it. And in a way, we are coming in through the back door, but as people need. Health is done, food will be done, eating will be done, and leisure will be covered after. So that's your future. But we are sailing in parallel, and by the time we finish sailing, we take over the whole lot. In the way the plasma technology takes over food, medicine, energy, and the rest of it. You still can eat, but if you need it, in the cup which we introduced this week, there's a parameters to it that can produce literally meat as you like to chew. But we don't open it. It's not time for it to be open. So we look at the long term and we are running parallel with, but substituting when the need comes. There is no medicine. We are moving it. There is no food. We are moving it. I mean, people cannot pay for heating and electricity. Most of the people, because they don't have the money, nobody's working. So we come in. I've set out the full plan in how KF will go. My knowledge, technology, and a very, very much solid work.
Mr. Keshe, thank you very much for that contribution. I think we're all very grateful for it. And I'm particularly grateful for everybody hanging in there today and allowing me to make the presentation today. And so on behalf of me and Mark Anderson, I'd like to thank you very much for allowing all this to happen.
All right, then. Thank you very, very much for your attendance here. Alex, for your presentation and all the
Sorry
interaction.
about that.
Oh,
I
please.
had to
go back.
jump on the emergency.
No problem. We weren't sure if you were coming back, but we're glad
Sorry.
you're here. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I had the emergency call. We have a hospital in our hand. As the emergency comes, I have to accept. We had a corona with a breast cancer and she fainted, so they wanted to know what we can do. As I said, we've taken over this hospital and I stand by on 24 hours basis. So sorry about that. They take priority on everything. So that's where we stand. And that's where we will be on the basis of running parallel and taking over more and more. And we have to see what's the next step and how things can be done.
So we have to figure out what to give a man who has everything for his birthday. But we're going to come back next week and discuss it, right?
I don't know what the man is and which man you're talking about. But on the other hand, we're going to see what can be done for the foundation. My ultimate goal is, as we see, to launch totally new technologies. Very simple. A lot of you will be able to do it. A lot of people will be able to do it. And primarily is to release new technologies. In a way, it's simplified of what it is, but applicable to be done. The biggest part will come when we have to create an emotion between the hunger and the emotion of wanting against. Not wanting rice or wanting bread or wanting potato or wanting meat. And that we have to satisfy. In a way, if you know when they make a new type of, let's say, burger, they take in the market and they taste different salt content that it suits most of the people happy with it, then that becomes the new burger. Now we have to tailor make GANs that it gives the emotion of the feeling, emotion of chewing, and the satisfaction to enjoy. This is going to be another part. Odor and creation of smells is one of the biggest battles for the people who work with this part of technology. Emotional satisfaction through physical interaction. There's a lot to teach yet, and somebody said teaching is complete. Now we can take over Keshe Foundation. Teaching hasn't just started yet.
Mr. Keshe, the mutation that interacts with the emotion, is the virus trying to manifest emotion now at some point?
We have seen new structures in the brain. We have seen matching cancer on a 2 position of the brain. We have seen a structure change in the brain as early as in Wuhan city. We know the changes are going to be very much on the brain, but what is our objective is to start you lot learning how to make the emotional side, the what we call the soul side, strong enough that it can feed the soul, that the soul can expand to cover the lot. So there is different ways of looking at it.
Is there a protocol for dealing with that mutation at this point?
Don't interfere with it. We just keep on saying, don't interfere. We are going to, there is a possibility, I've looked at it a few times. The changes could be so rapid that we might all go through a very fast mutation, a psychological mutation. Very possible. There's a challenging time ahead.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's nearly 11:30.
It is
We know.
possible, Mr. Keshe, quickly, one question. I want to make the breathing system. It's possible utilize the silicone, transparent silicone,
What?
with the plasma water, no? Like a bubbling system, breathing system with gas and water of cup one. I want
I
to
don't
make the,
understand.
okay, perhaps
Somehow he
I leave
wants,
for,
yeah, somehow he wants Mr. Keshe to have a silicone mask with a Hubble bubble and some tubes attached to it, if I understand, or some sort of breathing system that would filter out the virus. As we know, the mask does not provide a significant amount of protection. So
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to, I explained this before. This is the hypocrisy we got to stuck with. Corona crosses anything through magnetic field. We see it. That's why now we see no infection, we don't see no temperature. Because the virus enters as part of the structure of the body of the man. Does not go through 2 or 3 times, or it will go through digestion, but in fact, you're touched by the skin.
is for spreading the knowledge, Mr. Keshe. When the other people are asking, what is that? It's about plasma technology, and I have the possibility to spreading the knowledge to the others, not for my protection with a mask or to the others.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can do, you see now people go without a mask. I just talking to one of the top Keshe Foundation people in the hospital. He's walking around without a mask. It's driving them crazy at the moment in the hospital.
Well, they just changed the laws, Mr. Keshe, like in Ontario, in Canada, you have to wear a mask if you go into a supermarket or on public transport or any places like that as of last week.
We have that all over Europe. Even when you go into the restaurant, till you don't sit at your table, you're not allowed to take your mask off. In
Right,
Europe
so
now, it's all become compulsory. Supermarkets are always been compulsory now. It's been brought back in a much, much harsher way.
So what Dan is
Yeah.
proposing is this bubbler type mask that would be sort of innovative and would make people ask questions, does it really work, and so on. You could introduce the plasma technology to them, even handing out a card or leaflet or something perhaps, and maybe all doctors would be required to have a bubbler instead of wearing the masks that aren't as efficient as what they're supposed to be, and so on. It may revolutionize the medical profession even.
We can have a look at it, and if it's justified, it can be done. we can work with the foundation to build it. But
Just
they
wear a
always
hockey
attempt
mask.
it.
Just wear a hockey mask. That's what I say. It just has to cover the face. It doesn't have to be any specification.
What I say, wear the new fish mask for diving.
A snorkel.
You see the new one?
The new face mask, you mean, with this snorkel built
Yep.
into it?
Yep.
Mhm.
It's a full face, huh? It's normal. And you put the gas into the system to breathe. That's it.
Or you could build a bubbler into it.
Yeah, this is what I've done. We're trying to make a sample of it. But it's not cheap. It works at about $40, $50 manufacturing. And then you have to keep on changing it. It needs to be washed.
Mm-hmm.
We had a case where the grandmother refused to wash the hubble bubble, and the boy ended up with a chest infection. I said, "Oh, your technology is wrong." I said, "Have you seen the pipe is black? You're supposed to clean it. Fungus is everywhere."
Mm-hmm.
This is a problem with it because we've seen it. So we keep away from it. But if it's something which is cleanable, perfect, yes. When you create these things, any masks, you always, that's why we went for hubble bubbles. You use it and you throw it away or you wash it. Is the secondary infection which you create because you breathe in through moisture, that you don't create a secondary infection.
Yeah, it's really meant for short periods of time, not for going out for hours.
Doesn't matter. Either way, short term, you breathe in it, it gets in, you have to wash it, you have to clean it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
What are the way, a lot of you wear these masks. Why? You put it in your pocket and you take it out again. What happens if it's in there? Your mask has to be sprayed at least 2 or 3 times a day, back and the front. Even if you wear disposable ones, I carry a spray in the car. Every day, every couple of days, I just spray. So it's not just wearing the masks, even the disposable ones. You take it off for next time, spray it both sides. You go to toilet. I was explaining today to one of our knowledge seekers that had a what do you call bladder infection of corona with heavy bleeding. And I said, you have it. Now you go to the toilet, still thinking you see your blood coming out of your, what do you call, bladder. And you're taking the gases. I said, the toilet has to be sprayed before and after when you finish, because now you left the corona in a pot. This is what it's going to be. You're going around, if you go to public toilets, carry a spray before and after. Before is to protect yourself, after is that if you have it, you don't give it to anyone. Where do you think it comes from? We have to change a lot of our habits. Anyway, I leave it to you. I have to go to another meeting.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Keshe.
much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye.